Hello. This is the story of a man who to this day is remembered as one of the most brutal and violent criminals in Scotland. At the peak of his criminal career, he became a terror in Glasgow's underworld, known for his role as an enforcer for the Daniel crime family. One of his punishment methods was called the alien abduction, a terrifying technique so horrific that it left the victims not only physically scarred but also with severe psychological trauma, unable to remember what had happened to them. These incidents not only haunted the victims, but also plunged them into a deep psychological abyss. However, like an unpredictable storm, his life gradually descended into chaos. Kevin Carroll was born on August 24th, 1980 at Stobhill Hospital in Glasgow. He was well aware that many enemies were secretly waiting for the chance to take him down, but what he never anticipated was that these foes would emerge from an unexpected corner. Kevin's childhood was clouded by the relentless bullying he endured. The brothers Stephen Lyons and Edward Jr. became his tireless tormentors. Remember the name Lyons, as it will become an essential part of this intense story. The Lyons family, with a long history of crime and power, was a formidable force in Glasgow's underworld. However, they weren't the only family vying for dominance. The Daniel family was also striving for control. Coincidentally, the sons of crime boss Jamie Daniel, Robert Daniel and Francis Fraggle Green, attended the same school as Kevin. The three boys quickly became close friends, and soon after Kevin found himself deeply immersed in the criminal world. His cousin gave him the nickname Gerbil, inspired by the cartoon character Kevin the Gerbil, and the name quickly became well known within the family. As the friendship between the three deepened, Kevin became entangled in the conflict between the Daniel and Lyons families, a feud marked by betrayal and hatred like sharp blades. By the time he reached his teenage years, Kevin had become well known to the police. And at the age of 19, he was jailed for 3 months for car theft. It wasn't long before Kevin moved on to a more lucrative form of crime, sinking deeper into the underworld. In the world of drug trafficking and enforcing the rules for the Daniel family, Kevin proved himself to be a fearless and ruthless figure. He quickly stood out with his signature style of attack known as alien abduction. As the top enforcer for the Daniel family, Kevin was responsible for dealing with anyone who opposed the crime family in any way he saw fit. With his unpredictable temper and whirlwind violence, Kevin soon developed his preferred method of handling enemies. He would gather a group of loyal henchmen, and in the dead of night, they would launch secret raids on the homes of their victims, disguised as armed police officers. In the darkness, they would stealthily abduct their target, taking the victim to secure locations or abandoned buildings, all while keeping the victim blindfolded, unaware of their fate. Upon reaching the destination, Kevin and his gang would begin to torture the victim, not just physically, but also psychologically. The methods they employed were so brutal that words cannot adequately describe them. However, I know that their favorite tools for torture were electrical devices which subjected their victims to hours of terror. It's unimaginable to picture the horrific scenes that must have unfolded. Once Kevin was done, the victims were often released, but left completely naked, wandering lost on dark streets. When questioned by the police about what had happened, many victims could not recall due to the psychological shock, or were simply too afraid to recount their ordeal. This is the origin of the term alien abduction. Victims were kidnapped in the night and returned in a state of panic, unable to remember what had happened to them the night before. What drives a person to commit such cruel acts without any remorse? For many, the answer is simple. Kevin Carroll was a true psychopath. As stories of his crimes spread, his reputation only fueled more fear among others. As mentioned earlier, Kevin was also involved in drug dealing, but he had a very different approach. Not only did he sell drugs, but he also ambushed and robbed other traffickers of their goods and money. In one instance, a trafficker had spent a large sum to buy 5 kilograms of cocaine, but later that same day, Kevin and his crew ambushed him and stole back the entire load of drugs. On another occasion, when Kevin found out about a gun he desperately wanted, an underworld source revealed that Kevin believed if he had that weapon, his enemies wouldn't stand a chance. The weapon in question was a stolen SA-80 rifle, the kind used by the British Army. This rifle came with a tripod and infrared scope, and the soldier selling it was asking for £10,000. However, Kevin wasn't the only one interested in this gun. The Lyons family had also heard about the rifle and had even put down a 4,000-pound deposit to purchase it. But before the Lyons could retrieve the weapon, Kevin acted. He kidnapped the soldier selling the gun and tortured him with a blowtorch. In utter terror, the soldier handed over both the rifle and the 4,000-pound deposit. It was a 2-for-1 deal for Kevin Gerbil. Meanwhile, tensions between the Daniel and Lyons families continued to escalate, with Kevin caught in the middle of this growing conflict. Both families controlled different areas in northern Glasgow, with the Lyons ruling over Milton, while the Daniel family was based in neighboring Possil. The Lyons family had maintained a strong position of power in their area, receiving favoritism from the local government for many years. They weren't just exempt from accountability for their criminal activities, they even received government support. In 1992, Eddie Sr., the head of the Lyons family, was given control of the former Churnside School in Berwickshire for a community project. However, the only community project Eddie was truly interested in was expanding his criminal empire. 3 years later, in 1995, when Eddie turned the school into his headquarters, he received a public grant of up to £1.4 million. While this may seem strange at the time, but Eddie Lyons had cleverly built a respectable public image, pretending to help the local community while secretly strengthening his criminal hold. Aside from the ongoing conflicts over greed and control of drug territories, there was another factor that added fuel to the fire, causing tensions between the two families to explode. In the summer of 2001, chaos ensued when a large quantity of the Daniel family's cocaine was stolen from a house in Milton, a territory clearly under the control of the Lyons family. The drugs were later resold to the Lyons family right in Milton, their own territory, infuriating the Lyons as they realized the Daniel family was trying to infiltrate the market they had built over the years. This was the final straw for the Daniel family, and Kevin, with his deep personal grudge, eagerly jumped into the conflict. With his violent nature, the feud between the two families intensified, and it was no surprise that more and more people sought revenge against Kevin. The first attack on Kevin occurred in 2003 right in front of his mother's house. Although injured, this assault wasn't enough to take him down. 3 years later, in 2006, another, much fiercer attack took place. Kevin and his ally, Ross Sherlock, were walking in the town of Bishopbriggs when a car suddenly sped toward them. They were ambushed from behind, and a bullet struck Kevin in the stomach, but once again he narrowly escaped death. This attack was understandable, as rumors circulated that the two men had been involved in the desecration of a grave in Bishopbriggs. The grave that had been defiled belonged to Gary Lyons, Eddie Lyons' son, who had died at the age of 8 from leukemia. To make matters worse, the desecration took place right before the boy's birthday, when the Lyons family was planning to visit his grave. When the Lyons saw their child's tombstone vandalized, they were consumed with rage. Attacking the grave of an innocent child was a despicable, unforgivable act, and if the Daniel family was willing to go this far, no one could predict who or what they would strike next. The Lyons family immediately decided to seek revenge, with Kevin and Ross as their prime targets. From that moment on, the war between the two families became a brutal cycle of retaliation. Whenever a member of one gang was attacked, the opposing family would respond in kind. Shortly after the failed attack on Kevin, another far more public and brutal assault took place. Just 3 weeks later, on December 6, 2006, two hitmen from the Daniel family, Raymond Anderson and James McDonald, stormed into the showroom of MOT Station, a car dealership owned by David Lyons, Eddie Lyons' brother. They brazenly opened fire in broad daylight. Within minutes, David's 21-year-old nephew, Michael Lyons, lay motionless on the floor, while his cousin, Stephen Lyons, was gravely injured along with several others. Both Daniel family hitmen were eventually caught and sentenced to 35 years in prison. Though the attackers were apprehended, but everyone knew the Lyons family wouldn't forgive so easily. The conflict continued to simmer for the next 4 years. Then came January 13th, 2010, a fateful Friday. Kevin had planned a meeting with someone in the parking lot of the Asda supermarket in Royston, Glasgow. He sat in the back seat of a black Audi A3 while his two associates were in the front. Unarmed and unsuspecting, they had no inkling of the danger they were about to face. Kevin appeared relaxed, unprepared for the violence to come. Suddenly, Everything happened in a flash. At 1:23 p.m., the busy parking lot became a scene of chaos as a Volkswagen Golf sped toward Kevin's Audi, blocking its path. Things quickly spiraled out of control. Two men jumped out of the Volkswagen and without hesitation opened fire on the Audi, sending shockwaves through the area as gunshots rang out, causing panic among bystanders. The two men in the front seats managed to escape the car, but Kevin wasn't as lucky. He was hit by at least 5 bullets with a total of 13 rounds fired into the vehicle. One bullet struck Kevin directly in the head, ending his life on the spot. The scene unfolded like an action movie with dozens of witnesses to the shooting, all happening in just 25 seconds. Kevin took his last breath at the age of 29. His dramatic and unexpected death became one of the most public gangland assassinations ever in Glasgow. Kevin was notorious for his paranoia, often wearing a bulletproof vest and carrying weapons, but all those precautions seemed meaningless on that fateful day. With so many people hunting him down, no one could save Kevin. After surviving 2 previous assassination attempts, this time he paid the price. But something didn't seem right about the whole incident. Don't you feel the same? After months of investigation, police arrested Ross Monaghan on July 30th, 2010. Ross, a well-known associate of the Lyons family, was suspected of being behind the assassination. However, the trial collapsed in 2012 when the judge declared there wasn't enough evidence to convict him. The trial largely hinged on a small fragment of gunshot residue found on a jacket seized during a raid on Ross's home. Forensic expert Alison Colley, working for the Scottish police, initially claimed the residue matched the type found at the crime scene. However, she later admitted that this conclusion was based on tests she typically didn't conduct, and she only did so because detectives pressured her. Moreover, she wasn't aware that armed officers had been present during the search of Ross's home, raising the possibility of cross-contamination. In the end, the evidence was thrown out and Ross was set free. If you feel like something's off about this story, you're not alone. How could the Lyons family have ambushed Kevin so unexpectedly, and why wasn't he prepared? If you suspect there's something darker going on, you might be right. After Ross Monaghan's trial, leaked information revealed that an insider had been feeding the Lyons family details. Former police officer Derek McLeod was found to have passed on secret surveillance information to the crime family, particularly about Kevin and his associates. At the time, Derek was working for the Lothian and Borders Police, but few knew that he was also an active member of the Lyons gang. The information Derek provided helped the Lyons family stay one step ahead of the police. When his betrayal was discovered, a raid on Derek's home uncovered 85 kilograms of cannabis hidden under the stairs and a cannabis farm in the garage. It's believed Derek had the support of the crime family to distribute this product. Once his corruption came to light, Derek faced a hefty sentence: 2 years and 3 months for drug-related offenses and 16 months for breaching the Official Secrets Act. But if you still feel something's fishy about Kevin's assassination, there's another theory many can't dismiss: that the Daniel family themselves ordered Kevin's murder. Sounds crazy, right? Kevin was supposed to have a good relationship with the Daniel family, but the truth wasn't always as it seemed. Insider sources revealed that the Daniel family leaders were becoming increasingly concerned that Kevin might become a threat rather than an asset. Secret meetings began to take place, filled with worried glances and uneasy whispers. Additionally, during his time working for the Daniel family, Kevin married Kelly Bowe, the daughter of Jamie Daniel, the head of the family, but the marriage was far from happy. People often saw Kevin mistreating Kelly, leaving visible bruises on her body that couldn't be hidden. He not only physically abused her, but also regularly tarnished her reputation, making Kelly's situation even more tragic. Kevin didn't stop at being violent with his wife. He went so far as to openly insult Jamie Daniel. On one occasion, he dared to threaten and call him a fat gypsy, along with other vulgar insults. In the criminal world, such words are never forgiven, especially when directed at the head of a family. The most suspicious aspect of Kevin's assassination, particularly for those loyal to him, was his behavior. They couldn't believe that Kevin would show up to a meeting unprepared or off guard, unless he was meeting someone he completely trusted. Additionally, the reaction of his 2 associates raised further doubts. Instead of aiding Kevin, they quickly fled the scene and no shots were fired at them. When the assassins left, these 2 men returned to the car, and immediately called Francis Fraggle Green, Jamie Daniels' brother and Kevin's longtime friend. When Francis arrived, his actions were highly suspicious. He quickly got into the car, seemingly taking something from Kevin's body before leaving the scene. Strangely enough, Francis was present at the crime scene even before the police arrived. In 2015, a man named William Patterson was convicted of carrying out Kevin's assassination. However, after this, killing the feud between the Daniel family and the Lyons family showed no signs of easing. The two families continue to be locked in their power struggle for control of Glasgow's underworld, and with so much bloody history between them, there seems to be no indication that this feud will end anytime soon.
This is the story of a man accused of being one of the most notorious drug lords Belgium has ever seen. He not only surpasses Kevin De Bruyne and Eden Hazard in wealth, but also wields significant influence in the underworld. The mayor of Antwerp publicly stated that tens of thousands of kilograms of cocaine are believed to have been distributed across Europe by him. To date, although he hasn't been prosecuted for any crimes, a major question arises. If he truly is innocent, why would a prominent member of the Sinaloa cartel openly demand that he pay a debt along with a serious threat? This story is about Othman LB, born in 1986 and raised in Borgerhout, Antwerp. Othman LB began his mysterious career as a teenager. He stealthily infiltrated the Antwerp port under the cover of night to retrieve shipments of cocaine from containers, serving his secret clients. Determined not to leave a trace, Othman quickly became a master in the trade, and money began flowing into his pockets like a torrent. While his allies often squandered their wealth on luxury cars, designer clothes, and extravagant lifestyles, Othman chose a different path. Typically, those who extract cocaine from the port are considered easily replaceable errand boys, sitting at the bottom of the distribution chain and earning low wages. They only receive a few thousand euros, a mere fraction of the profits they generate for their boss. However, Othman had a different strategy. Instead of taking cash, he decided to be paid in the very product he was transporting. This was a brilliant strategic decision. He received cocaine at the price importers had paid in South America, only 2,000 to 4,000 euros per kilogram. However, once the cocaine reached the port of Antwerp, its value skyrocketed to around 25,000 euros per kilogram. By selling the cocaine himself, Othman reaped enormous profits, catapulting him to new heights in the smuggling world by late 2015 and early 2016. Othman, one of the most notorious drug lords Belgium has ever known, built his empire through calculated and decisive moves. His career began as a teenager in Antwerp, where he covertly transported shipments of cocaine during the night. With his sharp intellect and strategic acumen, Othman turned cocaine sales into a massive revenue stream. He not only saved costs, but also increased profits by accepting payment in the very product he delivered. As he hired others to do the dirty work, his profit margins became immense, quickly propelling him to the elite ranks of smugglers. After catching the attention of Belgian police, Othman wisely relocated to Dubai, where he could manage operations remotely, invest in real estate, and live a luxurious life while the risks in the underworld escalated. However, Othman's peaceful life was threatened on November 15, 2016. At around 10:15 p.m., his brother Younes had just finished work at the gym and was on his way to his sister's house for dinner when he suddenly became the victim of a dramatic kidnapping. As Younes called his sister, the conversation was abruptly cut off by screams and chaos. His sister immediately alerted the police, and an urgent investigation was launched that very night. When the police reviewed surveillance footage, they discovered that Younes had been forced into a van by 4 assailants, and his car was later moved from the parking lot. The car was found 5 days later in Antwerp, and that was when Othman contacted the police to inform them that he had received a communication from the kidnappers. He revealed that they demanded a ransom of up to millions of euros, and named the mastermind behind the kidnapping as Hussein Ayet S., an adversary of Gwyneth Martha in a major dispute in Amsterdam. Othman provided such detailed information that he even knew the serial number of the BlackBerry Hussein was using. While Younes was held captive in Brussels and later moved to Paris, Othman in Dubai continued to supply information to the Antwerp police despite denying any involvement in this conflict. Rumors spread that the kidnapping might have been linked to a lost shipment. In an exclusive interview with the Belgian press, when asked about his involvement, Othman asserted, "I have no conflict with anyone. The kidnappers only want money. They choose those they think have a lot of it. I don't have enough money to pay millions of euros to ransom my brother, and even if I did, I wouldn't pay a single cent." Even when Antwerp police urged Othman to pay the ransom and questioned whether he would really abandon his brother, Othman firmly refused. Finally, after 37 days of captivity, Younes managed to escape in a dramatic fashion. He used a spoon to unlock his handcuffs and tied bedsheets together to climb out. His plan succeeded, and the information from Othman helped the police arrest the 4 kidnappers, including Antwerder Hassan Salmi, Mohamed Kanute, Abu Sako, and Rachid Belarbi, all of whom were gangsters with serious criminal records in Paris. Rumors swirled that Othman had paid the ransom in cash, gold, or cocaine, but he dismissed these stories, insisting that his brother escaped on his own with the help of the police and the information he provided. Are these claims reliable? What do you think? After the kidnappers were apprehended, another equally serious incident came to light. A few months before Younes' abduction, this gang had carried out another kidnapping targeting Abdelkader Bouker. Just as with Younes, they demanded a massive ransom of millions of euros. Ultimately, 1.6 million euros were paid, but the outcome was tragic. Abdelkader Bouker was never seen again. In June 2018, a massive data leak sent the media into a frenzy. At that time, Dubai's real estate market was booming, and there was a lot of money tied to the leaked database, which included 54,000 addresses and 129,000 owners from 181 countries. Although many of these individuals had not been accused of any wrongdoing, the database revealed information about organized crime figures and other suspicious individuals. Othman LB also appeared on this list as a prominent figure in the underworld. After moving to Dubai, Othman invested millions of dollars in real estate. He owned at least 11 properties worth a total of $8.5 million, including luxury villas in Frame, classic properties in Discovery Gardens, and a $1.4 million apartment at Skyviews Observatory, one of Dubai's most prestigious buildings. In response to the information from the leaked database, Othman denied all allegations. He claimed that he was not involved in drug trafficking, but was instead engaged in buying and selling luxury watches, investing in real estate, and trading stocks. However, after 5 months of silence, the accusations continued to mount. Since being linked to drug trafficking in 2015, prosecutors have been unable to prove his guilt due to a lack of concrete evidence. Othman always maintained a low profile and left no clear traces, making it more challenging than ever to gather evidence. By April 2022, raids were conducted in Belgium, the Netherlands, and Germany, leading to the seizure of evidence that could be damaging to Othman. These raids were carried out after police investigated a series of confiscated drug shipments. In 2021, a total of 35,000 kilograms of drugs were linked to Othman. A shipment of nearly 11,000 kilograms was seized at the port of Antwerp on April 2nd, 2021, hidden in containers. The criminals used Sky ECC phones for communication, and while the police could read their messages, they were unable to log in due to the highly secure passwords. The investigation expanded as 3 other massive shipments were confiscated, including nearly 16,000 kilograms at the port of Hamburg on February 12, 2021, and nearly 8,000 kilograms at the port of Antwerp on February 20, 2021. Othman consistently and publicly denied any involvement with these shipments, but the situation grew increasingly tense. On January 9, 2023, tensions escalated when 3 shots were fired into the garage door of a house belonging to Othman's family. Behind the garage door was a makeshift living room with a kitchen. At the time of the incident, several residents, including children, were in the kitchen. Tragically, one of the 3 bullets struck a young girl, who later died in the hospital. She was identified as Othman's niece. Upon discovering that the girl was his niece, the police concluded that the attack might be related to ongoing conflicts in Antwerp's underworld. However, Othman quickly denied any involvement in the attack. He declared, "I had nothing to do with what happened to my niece. I will continue to search for those responsible until they are brought to justice." As the situation grows increasingly dire and conflicts continue to unfold, the future of Othman and his family becomes more uncertain. When questioned about how he could make such a claim, especially given his background in a notorious criminal family, Othman retorted, "Our family is not notorious. Can you point to any attack in Antwerp in recent years that my family was involved in? I'll tell you, there is none. I'm not involved in any conflicts and have been living away from Belgium for 12 years. The police are trying to make me the face of everything. The truth will come out and I will ensure that." On March 10, 2023, a major shock was announced. Belgian prosecutors were seeking a 9-year prison sentence for Othman for large-scale drug importation and money laundering. They also proposed an 8-year sentence for Othman's brothers, Nourdine and Younes. Othman and his brothers were regarded as major figures in the European underworld. Prosecutors believed they had a solid case thanks to the Sky ECC messages and the intercepted shipments that they claimed were coordinated by Othman. According to the messages, Othman often used the alias Big Brother. Some typical messages from Big Brother to his brother Nourdine read, "Can I send that amount? 100 things you successfully did." Nourdine responded with a smiling face emoji. "You have 1.3 million, 200 is 1.1 million, now 90 times 29 is 3.7 million. Can I send it tomorrow? Sorry, 650K? I forgot your investment. 3,150,000. Nourdine replied, "Okay, I have 3 million all in cash." Othman continued, "Might need 1 million there so I don't have to knock on your door every time." Later, Othman asked, "Do you have space for me to stash another 10 million just for me?" The calculations in Othman's messages were believed to refer to a 100-kilogram drug shipment with a purchase price of 6,500 euros per kilogram and the 650K investment mentioned. 90 times 29 inches was thought to refer to 90 kilograms of drugs sold at 29,000 euros per kilogram wholesale. When the shipments arrived in Europe, other messages about large cash transactions and additional information would be used in court to put Othman behind bars. Othman responded to this news by stating, "They will never be able to convict me in this case because there is no evidence." However, the bad news didn't stop there. On July 19, 2023, the USA Department of the Treasury added Othman, along with his brothers and associate Ben Azza, to the OFAC sanctions list. Being on the sanctions list of the Office of Foreign Assets Control, OFAC, means that any assets, bank accounts, businesses and vehicles under your name linked to the USA could be frozen or seized. This is a serious and powerful blow. However, Othman didn't seem too worried, responding briefly with, "Do you think I own anything?" Given what is known about his operations, it wouldn't be surprising if he had already carried out a sophisticated plan to transfer his assets to other names to avoid seizure. Only time will tell if this is the case. Furthermore, the situation took a more serious turn on July 20th when a shocking video emerged. In the video, a member of the notorious Mexican cartel claimed to represent Ismael El Mayo Zambada, the kingpin of the Sinaloa cartel. The person in the video asserted that he had sent people to meet with Othman's associates to collect a debt that Othman apparently refused to pay. The video shot with the speaker's face clearly visible and the message directly addressed to Othman not only surprised everyone, but also raised concerns. The man challenged Othman to make the video public so that people could know the identity and adversary that Othman is facing. It seems that this debt is no small amount and could reach millions of euros. At present, we can only speculate on the true cause behind this conflict, whether it's an unpaid shipment, a forgotten loan, or some other dispute. In any case, it's clear that Othman is facing significant danger from extremely dangerous individuals. Nevertheless, Othman remains safe in Dubai, despite a new extradition treaty between Belgium and Dubai, but the city seems to have taken no immediate action to arrest him. Othman continues to live in luxury and has not been prosecuted for any serious crimes. For now, he is still presumed innocent until proven otherwise. So the story of Othman continues to become more intriguing. I will keep following the latest developments in this case. What do you think of this story? Leave your thoughts below in the comments so everyone can see. Don't forget to like and subscribe to support my channel. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.